Hello, let's read together again today. And the passage we will work with today is investment in shares versus investment in other assets, which gives the greater gain. Again, this is a real part in IELTS test. And of course, I'm going to work with new type of question today. So in the previous lesson, we work on how to deal with true, false, not given, and fill in the blank. Today, it will be matching headings and matching names, then a couple questions, fill in the blanks. So first, what is matching headings? Matching heading means that after you read a paragraph, you decide which headings here best describe that paragraph. And matching names is that who say these kind of sentences. It's that straightforward, but a lot of my students have difficulty with this task. So let's do it together today. The process is really simple. It's just like last week, we will read paragraph A, try to find the answer, and then work our way down. Now let's please pause the video and read paragraph A. Now, after we read paragraph A, let's try to do one more thing. Is that summarize the main idea of this paragraph, or try to remember what happened in the paragraph we just read. So this obviously talk about a banker, right? A banker who wanted to know some kind of data, and then a university teacher, a dean, like principal, decided to take on a project called CRISP. Okay, so like the beginning, the reason why this project started. Let's see if there's anything kind of similar to what we just read in paragraph A. Now, for this time, we will try to read all the headings and find something that match. For one, technological development, improve CRISP data, not mentioning, right? Two, initial findings, nothing. A request and far-reaching result, maybe, right? Maybe, because the banker asked the professor a question, and then the CRISP project they said it provided the foundation of at least 1/3 of the research in finance. So it's a far-reaching result, but we're not sure. We haven't read everything. So for now, we will put 3 here, but we will keep reading to see if there is anything better match paragraph A. For difficulties in collecting data, nothing. What the future hold, they didn't mention future. Too much data. I don't see any mention of that. Other university department which depend on CRISP. It could be, right? It could be they do talk about something like CRISP influence other project, blah, blah, blah. But it's not clear, right? It's not clear about university department, and it's not exactly depending. So this is weaker than number 3. So right now, number 3 is still the best one. CRISP data not always being a useful basis for investment. So nothing mentioned in the paragraph. Therefore, right now, I would choose number 3 for paragraph A. Now we're kind of having the ideas of what other headings talk about. So paragraph B downward will be faster. Now please pause to read paragraph B. Okay, so this one is easier, right? We can see the answer right in the first sentence. Getting the data was a tough process. And remember, we saw that in number 4 here. Difficulty in collecting CRIS data. And for paragraph B, the first sentence is the same meaning of for. And then the rest of the paragraph talking about what kind of difficulty that is to elaborate that idea more. So for B, we can be sure that it would be number 4. Now, paragraph C is a little bit longer. So when you finish reading C, let's try to do it to see if you can find the correct answer. Okay, so this is actually more challenging than the previous paragraph, right? But there are still keywords that help us find the correct answer. You can see here that in this part, they describe about a finding of the project, which is that they define the annual compound return. And then here, they talk about the first empirical support for the still popular idea. And then they elaborate that, right? They elaborate that idea. So for this, number 2 will be the answer because they talk about the finding, right? They talk about the finding. This part is the finding. This part is the finding, and this they just explain it more. But this is more tricky. This is more tricky than the other. Now, paragraph D, please pause. Okay, so for this paragraph, the answer lies in the latter part of it. They talk about computing power and they talk about how it's replicated across the world. So we do see something about technology, right? In number 1, technological developments improve the data. Expanded include the full range of different types of investment. So for paragraph D, it would be number 1. Okay, we're almost there to 3 more to go. Paragraph E. Okay, so for this paragraph, they talk about how the data, right, in the stock market changes, and in the long term, it can't be predicted, right? No predictable movement. So this paragraph, they talk about the data, how the data is only maybe useful in short term, but not in the long term. And which is best describe this, I think would be number 8, not always being a useful basis for investment. Like in the long term, it doesn't work as well. Now moving on to paragraph F. Okay, so this is a little bit difficult, but luckily we can eliminate some of the questions. So what's left? We only have what's 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 5, 6, or 5, 6, and 7 left. Sometimes when you see paragraph like this, like after you read it, you feel like you don't really understand everything and nothing seems to describe it very well. We can eliminate the false answer when we find the better answer. For example, here we have 5, 6, 7 left. And we can confidently eliminate 7, right? Nothing mentioned about the dependence of other university department. So we have 5 and 6. For number 5 and number 6, one mentioned about the future and one talk about too much data. You can see here that they said the sheer volume of material becoming increasingly specialized. It means that the amount of data now is too much, and people have to have deep understanding to understand that. And there's one more. They talk about the data here, right? So we can eliminate number 5 because we don't see a lot of mention about future, but we can see that they do talk about the volume of the data. So we can choose number 6. In case, right? In case there are paragraphs that are too much information, too much words that you don't understand, you can do this, right? You can try to do this. For paragraph G, right, so we only have 5 and 7 left, and it's pretty obvious that it would be number 5, right? They talk about the demand continue to grow, as well as growth in value stock, and then they talk about will be more academic, blah, blah, blah. For much of the paragraph is talking about the future, so this would be paragraph number 5. Now matching names. For matching name, actually I should mention this before, but when we do reading that have matching names, we should highlight the names as we read, but I forgot to do that and to talk about that. So now it may take me a bit of time to go back and do that now. Let's go. Mm, mm, mm. Okay, so let's see what they say. Traditional approach may have helped predict a financial downturn. Traditional approach. Some people invest conservatively and as a result make less money. It may be possible to predict short term, not over the long term. Okay, I think I saw this thing up here, right? Let's see what Laurie and Lawrence Fisher said. You can see here, Fisher and Laurie found out that Some people chose to invest in assets with lower return because they were cautious by nature and were concerned about the risk of loss, blah, blah, blah. So they said assets with lower return mean they make less money. And number 22 would be A. Let's see. Oh, Myron here. Let's see what he say. It's all about computing. Eugene. Ah, this paragraph. So this part here is where he talk about how it is possible to predict short term, but not long term. So this one would be Eugene. Traditional approach is here. Global financial crisis coming, it would have been better to go back to old-fashioned reading of history. But who said this? Robert Schiller D. Okay. Now the fill in the blanks. Fill in the blanks is the one task that is easy to get the answer in IELTS reading. So please try your best to finish this. You find the keywords, right? And then it could be easier. Like, for example, they talk about the beginning of Christ and with keywords 1958. So easy to find, right? Blah, 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 working for financial management company telephone. So, blah, 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 someone working for financial management. We know that we find a person here, a title for a person, not a name. And for this, we see that a phone call from Louis, a banker, financial management. So the answer here, banker. See how easy it is to do this, and it doesn't take a lot of time. And you don't have to read as much as the other tasks. So please pay extra attention to this part. Compiling the quiz data was difficult because something was still being developed. Okay. So it talk about the difficulty of getting the data. In paragraph B, we talk about that. We know it's here. So what is still being developed? In the very first sentence, right? Getting data together was tough process. So they talk about, just paraphrase. In what were then the early days of computers? The early days of computer means it is still being developed. So the answer would be computers. And information that had previously been on needed to be put onto magnetic tape. Okay, this is a keyword. Information on. Okay. So they said that information that on something need to put on magnetic tapes. Let's see if we can find this. Okay, magnetic tape. Three millions of information were transferred from paper to magnetic tape. So the answer here would be paper. Okay, finished. I know that I always take a lot of time to finish the reading, but that's because I need to explain, right? When you practice, you will find that it would be easier, and it will get easier if you patient and practice a lot. It's the key is always in practicing and learning vocabulary. Okay, so I hope your learning process get a little bit easier and clearer after the video. Bye bye.